And great.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm so glad so many people are here. And my name is Liz Hanley, my associate Clark Doherty, and I are here with our other associates, Yamali and Tom. And we are so happy tonight to be graced by the presence of Shannon Tiger, who's a wonderful representative for Viking. She's here to tell us all about expeditions and ocean and river and all the wonderful things Viking does. So without further ado, here's Shannon.
Well, thank you very much, Liz. It's always a pleasure to work with you and Clark and all your affiliates. We love cruise planners. And for those of you that aren't aware, cruise planners are pretty much one of the largest travel agencies in the world. And Liz and Clark are proud owners of cruise planners. And so it's really great to be able to work with our fellow cruise planners because it gives us a lot of buying power and access to everything that they're doing and everything we're doing here at Viking. So I have to say you're one of our #1 partners. And so it's my pleasure to be here and talking with you and your clients. So we're really excited to jumpstart 2023 and be able to bring you the world of Viking today. We have so much going on here at Viking and so much that has taken place over the last couple of years. So it's really a great opportunity to bring you kind of up to date on what we're doing, also what's trending in cruising, and maybe spark your interest to book some travel. The reason why we want to do that is because travel, I don't know, you may or may not have heard of this statement that's been going around, which is revenge travel. So many folks out there are sick of being home and they're taking revenge after the pandemic and booking. And so it's causing us to have a little bit of some issues with inventory, not just Viking, but all over, whether it be a hotel and all inclusive. So what we want to do today is share with you some of the things that we're doing and hope that it'll encourage you to put your name on one of our staterooms and hold that space, whether that be for 2023, 2024, or 2025. And lucky you, we happen to be having a wonderful incentive this month and also, opportunities for you to take advantage of doing this for a very little risk to you. So sharing all that with you now, what I'm going to be doing is sharing my screen. And hopefully everything will come across nice and easy here. And y'all should be seeing my screen here. So we want to talk about the world of Viking. And the reason why is because there'll be folks that are watching this presentation that have an interest in river cruising, some in ocean cruising, and then some in some of our new experiences. So I do want to make sure that we do cover everything, and we're going to cover everything lightly. And then Liz and Clark are going to be introducing some opportunities in the future for all of you as well on some of the things that they're very much interested in doing and hosting you all on. So we have lots going on together as our partnership grows this year in 2023 and for 2024. So let's start. A lot of you probably know us from river cruising. This is where we started in 25 years ago. And this is what we started promoting all across North America. And I'm sure you're sitting there right now nodding, saying, yes, we saw your commercials on Masterpiece, Theodore Door, and Downton Abbey, or what have you. We've been doing a lot of promotions, promoting river cruising to North America, meeting the Canadians as well as the Americans. So what that means to you is when we promote Viking to North America, that is who's sailing on us. So one fun fact about us is that you'll pretty much be sailing with Canadians and majority of Americans while you're on board Viking. We do not promote to other countries. Every once in a while, you'll find someone from the UK or from Australia on our ships, but that's pretty much it. So all the announcements are made in English, and it's just a wonderful experience on board. Kind of feels like you're coming back after traveling on shore all day, doing all of your shore excursions to your own living room. So I'll share a little bit more about that with you in a moment. But I did want to tell you that in 2015, we started to do ocean cruising. Now, when we came on the rivers, we like to say we reinvented cruising. And we really wanted to make sure that we were bringing a very special experience that was unlike any other cruising experience. So we took that same philosophy that we had on river cruising and we introduced it to ocean cruising and that's actually where our founder started his experience. He worked for the Royal Viking line. If that rings a bell, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But what he did was he wanted to make sure that he had a cruising experience that fully focused on the destination. And so as we go through this presentation, you'll notice that that is exactly what we do here at Viking. The destination is always the focal point. Now, while we've introduced many, many ocean ships, we have 9 on sale and many more that are being built. So what that means to you is there are so many ocean ships also sailing the world. So you truly can access pretty much every single destination in this world we live in through the world of Viking. We also are very excited to announce that we started sailing on the Mississippi River. We waited 10 years to do this. We finally got approval and had our ship built in the US and started sailing in August of this year. So we have one ship on the Mississippi. You'll learn a little bit about her. Her name is the Viking Mississippi. And then in addition, during the pandemic, we built 2 expedition ships. And what's really neat about the expedition ships is they sail to Antarctica, but they also reposition in the spring and the summer months to the Great Lakes. So if you're looking for something a little closer to home, you can have that opportunity to join us and sail Viking style, what we call the Viking Way, on the Mississippi, as well as in the Great Lakes, and then of course, Alaska. And we do have some ports that sail out of the States to the Caribbean. So when you're looking at this screen, the one thing that I want you to know and be aware of is that the world of Viking has a few things that they share between themselves, all of these products. One is small ship cruising. The river ships are typically 190 passengers. The ocean ships are 930 passengers. The Mississippi and the expedition ships are under 400 passengers. So again, everything we do here is small ship cruising, and we like to believe that we're the leader in the small ship cruising space, and that will become very obvious shortly. So one thing that we're also very proud of is that actually we have been named #1 river and ocean cruise line by Travel and Leisure and Condé Nast Traveler. This needs to be updated, but also for 2022. So really excited to let you know that we have won these very acclaimed awards, and that is because of the way we cruise and the consistency in our product and our service that we provide. So time and time again, we always make sure that we continue to bring this exceptional service and cruising style, and it's paid off because of those awards that we have recently won by the readers of both of those publications. So hopefully that also further attributes to you all getting on the side of Viking and experiencing us. So something really exciting that's happening right now in our world is we are celebrating our 25th anniversary. And for those of you that have sailed on us before, or those of you that are thinking about sailing on us, I thought I'd bring it to your attention to let you know that right now you can book any stateroom across all of our products for $25 per person deposit. So traditionally this would cost you $500 per person, and now we actually have a sale going on for $25 per person deposit. Now this sale is ending at the end of this month. I do believe the $25 deposit may be continued. I'm not 100% sure. But in addition to that, we also have free international airfare. This is for 2023 sailings only, and it is on our river product, and it focuses primarily on the Rhine and the Danube rivers. So Liz and Clark can help you with how to find those really exceptional airfares that are free in some cases, some only $4.99 per person. And perhaps maybe you'll be traveling a little bit sooner than later due to this exceptional deal. And I'd be remiss not to mention two things. One, very great time to go to Europe. And I'm sure Liz and Clark can attest to this as well, because the dollar is exceptionally strong right now and practically equivalent to the euro. And then in addition to that, because airfare is so expensive to go to Europe right now, taking advantage of one of these free international airfare programs, and again, it's not on every sailing, not on every ship, and not on every river, but to take advantage of this low or free international airfare is just terrific. So I had to put that in there, and I wanted to put it up front because I wanted you to know that for the first time in my career at Viking, I can say that river cruising is incredibly affordable with this free air promo in 2023. We have very limited space. We do have space, but it's going very quickly because we were about 85% sold out for 2023. So if it is something you're thinking about and you're really excited after this presentation, definitely call Liz and Clark and they can bring you up to speed, and Tom and all of the affiliates there to help you book that dream vacation. So let's start with who Viking is. We are not everything to everyone, folks. The number one thing about Viking is we don't want to be everything to everyone. So who sails on Viking? Well, I can tell you who doesn't, and that is children. You have to be over the age of 18 to sail on Viking. Secondly, who does sail on Viking are folks that have a deep interest in wanting to see the world we live in. They usually have an interest in history, art, culture. They want to make sure they're in port as long as possible. They want to make sure that they're going on shore excursions with Viking, with local tour guides that are really showing them these ports of call. They're really bringing them into the destination, immersing them, whether that is in the local life or in the working world, or it's seeing these iconic cathedrals and iconic travel spots throughout our world. Our goal is to make sure we curate onshore experiences for you that truly are unmatched and truly give you a feeling like you felt that culture and you saw everything you wanted to see when you're traveling onshore with us. So our goal is to really offer you all of those passion points of yours, bring them to life in these destinations and onshore, and make sure that you have a very curated experience that of course is guided by a local tour guide. So we're in port as long as possible, and we also offer a very inclusive product. So again, who we're not and what we're not when we are talking about Viking, it's very important for us to let you know this. We do not have casinos. We do not have big Broadway shows. We do not have children. And also some perks. We don't often charge for much. You're really only paying for your gratuities and any additional shore excursions you want to do outside of the one that we include for every port of call. So you're not going to be paying for alternative restaurants if there are alternative dining on board. You're not going to pay to get into the spa. You're not going to have to deal with photography shoots and buying photos. And also something I love to say is you do not have to dress up. There are no formal nights. Everything on board Viking is country club casual. We also include Wi-Fi and so many little extras that truly a difference for us is that we don't have that long statement at the end of your cruise when you're disembarking for you to pay for, because mostly everything's included. We include the one shore excursion for every port of call. And I'll share with you a little bit about what that is. We include, of course, all your meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We do have a high tea. Wi-Fi is included on ocean. There's 24-hour room service. There's bottled water in your stateroom, bottled water when you go out on shore, and beer and wine is included at lunch and dinner. all the government port charges and taxes are also included. So much is included in that fare. So when we're talking about some lead-in fares right now on the Rhine and the Danube, the two most popular rivers to cruise on, with free international air in 2023, and those fares are starting at $23.99 and $24.99, you're really practically cruising for under $1,000 because that air is at a price tag right now of over $1,500 per person. So the rates are just incredible. So if you can go in, say, the fall of 2023, it's a great time to think about experiencing river cruising, just because we do have all these really special promotions. And we know 24 and 25 are going to be even more booked up because of this revenge travel that I speak of. So the world of river cruising, what makes river cruising so unique and so different to a traditional ocean cruise, if you will, and also small ship cruising in general, is that with river cruising, you are in a new port of call every day, and your ship docks right there, just like you're seeing in this picture, in the heart of the destination. So what does that mean? It means that you'll have the ability to walk on and off the ship at your leisure. So you can come back for lunch and have lunch on board. In the afternoon, you can explore on your own if you want, or you can come with us and do optional tours. Sometimes we're staying in these ports really late at night, so you'll have the opportunity after dinner to even go back into port, maybe take an evening cruise on one of the evening river boats to see the cities at night all lit up. But you do have that flexibility to do things on your own if you want, or you can continue on your journey always with us. But we do include that one port of call in shore excursions. So know that pretty much every morning when you're on board our river ship, you're going to wake up, you're going to have breakfast, and then you're going to meet in the atrium, and we're going to all go out on the included shore excursion. Now, that always happens in the morning, and most of the time in a larger city, it would be a panoramic city tour, which is terrific because that gives you the opportunity to go into the city with us, see all those iconic spots, learn about the history of that city, and also learn about it through a local tour guide who's a Viking employee and trained by our with our Swiss training. So this service is great, but they're going to tell you all of their own their family secrets, what it was like maybe if you were in Hungary, in Budapest, to live during the communist regime and that communist era. So you have the opportunity to really understand these destinations from that local tour guide, and their stories, to me, honestly, folks, is what really makes the difference. They are priceless. So again, you're in port, you're right there in the heart of these destinations, and you're learning about the culture, the history. Now, depending on the rivers, and especially if we're talking about the Rhine and Danube, which are really popular first-time rivers, you're going to be learning about World War II history. You're going to be learning about all the things that took place in this area, in this region, and it is just amazing. You'll also be learning about these dynasties like the Habsburg era, the Bamberg era. So you're not only going to be getting that World War II history, but you're getting history from centuries ago. And it is actually some of the best history lessons I always feel when I'm traveling these rivers. And if I can do it justice, I would like to here right now to tell you, I've been in travel for over 20 plus years, and I was completely, my jaw dropped when I took my first river cruise because I had no idea. I've done escorted tours, I've done ocean cruising, I've done so many other types of travel, and I find river cruising to just be so amazing, with that flexibility to go in and on and off, in and out of port, but also that history that you're learning through these basic trade routes. These rivers were the roads. So you're the castles, the cathedrals, the history that you're learning way beyond anything we can remember from our textbooks is really, in my opinion, priceless. So because you're in a new port every day, you have a new experience. And I want to let you know that it isn't always just about history. It's also about delicious food. and great wines that you'll experience through wine tastings, and of course, amazing art and amazing music. So let's kind of explore some of these rivers together right now. I'm going to introduce you first to the Rhine. The Rhine is often known as the river of castles and cathedrals. And quite frankly, it's incredibly dramatic, just like you're seeing in this picture in the upper right-hand corner. And around every twist and turn, you'll find a castle or a cathedral or a small little village in the Netherlands or in Germany. And what's super neat about the Rhine, and particularly this Rhine getaway, which goes from Amsterdam to Basel, is that you're going to be going through 4 different countries. And for my cruisers on the line, we all know one thing, and why we like to cruise is because you only want to have to pack and unpack once. Or if you do an extension pre or post, that's fine too. But the last thing we want to do as cruisers is be going from motor coach to motor coach, hotel to hotel, packing and unpacking, packing and unpacking. So that's really true, the true convenience of river cruising. So on an itinerary like this, you'll be starting in the Netherlands or starting in Switzerland, and then you'll be going through Germany and France. And I'm going to take you a little through these ports right now so you can experience the Rhine together. So what you want to think about is, do I want to spend some extra time in Amsterdam? Do I want to spend some extra time in Lucerne? Maybe hang out with George Clooney in Lake Como. You could do that. Maybe go to Lucerne, right? So this is kind of how you're going to be orchestrating your trip. But the rivers look like this. There is land on both sides, the most gorgeous scenery, and you'll experience that through stretches of the river where we'll be doing scenic river cruising. There's basically no movement, and the ships are like a little floating boutique hotel, just 190 passengers. Within 1 hour of being on board, I promise you the crew is going to know your name, and if you've already hit the bar, they're going to know your favorite drink, and they're going to know a little bit about you, and they will remember it. And I think having that personalized service with just 190 passengers is phenomenal. And also, you're going to meet so many new friends too when you're on the river ship. So one of the major ports on the Rhine, of course, would be Amsterdam. There's over 75 museums here. So it's the largest repository of museums in the Netherlands and actually in Europe. You'll have also the Anne Frank House, wonderful cafes along these beautiful canal-lined streets. You can walk this city very easily. We dock right in the heart of it. You can take a glass top canal boat and it can maneuver you around from different parts of the district. So I would recommend to you that you really want to think about spending some extra time in Amsterdam. There's simply not enough time if you start in Amsterdam or end in Amsterdam to see the city. We offer a 2-night extension, and by doing that extension with us folks, that means your transfers are included, and of course, no brainer, you're going to take our air, because either it's going to be free or it's going to be under $1,000, which is certainly much cheaper than any other way to purchase air today. Now, if you love the tulips and you want the tulip season in the Netherlands, of course, you would go in the month of April. This is a picture of the Keukenhof Gardens. They plant over 7 million flower bulbs annually with indoor and outdoor exhibits. It's really worth it if you really want to see those beautiful flowers. But you can, of course, go all year round while we're cruising, which is essentially from the end of March to the end of December. And at the end, from November to December, there's beautiful Christmas markets, and you'll see a photo of that in a moment. But another city on the Rhine getaway is also Cologne. And I wanted to point this city out because it actually has 2 things that I think are always super impressive. You'll get the Dom, which is the cathedral you're looking at right here, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And it took over 700 years to build this cathedral. So when you're on that guided tour with Viking, that's included in your fare. You're going to learn about the history of the Dom. You're going to learn about the history of Germany. You're going to learn about what took place in the city during the war. You're also going to see something really neat, which are Roman ruins from an excavation project they did because they wanted to build a new town hall. They actually uncovered the floor of a Roman palace. And so it's really quite neat. You can look down at this floor that is perfectly uh, a sample of what it was. It has not been restored. It's just it looks untouched, and so that's really quite neat. Now, while you're in Cologne, you'll have your included tour, but you'll also have an opportunity to do other things. You can do brew house tours with us. You can go out to the chocolate factory. You can explore this city alone if you want in the afternoon. We actually are here pretty much all day. So you'll have that morning, afternoon, and evening experience here in Cologne. So it's quite fun to go out into these cities also in the evening to just really immerse yourself in the culture. Another really pretty port that's on the Rhine is Strasbourg. So while you're on the Rhine, you're going to be able to see a medieval castle. You're going to be able to go to Rudesheim, which is a small little German village with a pedestrian walkway, where you're walking on the street and you're going shopping and you're going into cafes. And you'll also have the opportunity, if you want, to go out into the Alsace region and experience some wine tasting, if you will. So there's so many interesting things that you can do on this itinerary, but I wanted to make sure I did bring to light the port of Strasbourg. This city was exchanged hands over 14 times between the Germans and the French, and the city itself has a wonderful cultural immersion of the French and German culture. So their food's a little different. It's all that Alsace regional wines that you're getting. You could do a food tour with Viking the entire day. You can also in this region head out if you like in Breisack to experience where Audie Murphy was personally single-handedly at one point resisting the Nazis. So for any of you that love history, he's the most decorated war hero of our country. And you can actually see firsthand where he held that resistance and where he fought single-handedly and where he's buried. So again, I want you to know that there's just so much to see and do in this region. And Strasbourg is, outside of Vienna, my favorite other European port. So when you're on the Rhine, you'll end up in Switzerland and you'll have the opportunity, like I said, to go to Lucerne or to Lake Como and experience a little bit more of Switzerland. So I just wanted to show you that river first. The second river I wanted to share with you is the Danube, and our most popular itinerary on the Danube is the romantic Danube. And one of the things that makes this itinerary really popular is it's overnight in Vienna. So if you have a love for classical music, this is basically the epicenter of classical music in Europe, but this is where Mozart spent most of his life. This is where you'll learn so much about Mozart and Strauss. You can actually attend a Mozart and Strauss concert in the evening because we have that overnight there. So you're going to want the extra time when you're in Vienna, and I'll explain that as we go down this itinerary a little bit more. So what's really neat about this itinerary is the opportunity that you'll have to go from Regensburg to Budapest, Hungary, or from Budapest, Hungary to Regensburg. Now you'll have three countries that you're traveling through here: Germany, Austria, and Hungary. But I do need to tell you that there is a proximity to Prague from the Danube River of about a 2.5, 3 hour bus ride. And that bus ride allows you to do a pre or a post extension in Prague, or you could do a pre or a post extension in Prague and Nuremberg, and then travel up or down this river, going again to Budapest, to Vienna, to Passau, to Regensburg. So I'm going to show you a picture of what the river looks like. This is of a portion of the river, the Wachau Valley. And this Wachau Valley gives you the opportunity to do your scenic river cruising, and you'll see these beautiful villages. You'll see the cathedrals, you'll see the castles, but you'll also see a lot of vineyards here in this valley. A lot of Riesling wine is produced on the Rhine, and here the Gruner grape is very popular. So you'll have the opportunity to experience that wine. You'll also have the opportunity to see a monastery. You can see the Gottweg Abbey, which is what we're not looking at, or the Milk Abbey. These are a 900-year-old Benedictine monasteries, and they actually are still sustaining themselves. You can see the monks worship. They are absolutely stunning. I particularly like Gottweg, which you'll likely see when you're on this itinerary. So you're seeing Prague, hopefully, because you're going to do that pre-extension or post-extension, depending on the direction. You're going to be seeing monasteries, and then you're going to see that beautiful city of Vienna. Now, Vienna, and particularly in this region of Bavaria, is where the Habsburgs ruled for 641 years. And what does that mean to you? It means they built a lot of palaces. So if you're looking for palaces, if you're looking for that more Eastern Europe architecture, a lot of Gothic, Baroque architecture, you can see so many of these beautiful buildings, whether that be here in Vienna or the Abbey that we just saw a picture of, or even going out to Schönbrunn Palace, which is where Maria Theresa basically spent most of her life. So what we're looking at here is the Imperial Palace, which is right there in the heart of Vienna. And also a part of this is the Lippenzaner stallion stables. So if you like horses, this is a great itinerary. For me, one of the things that I do love about the Danube is that architecture that you're going to be experiencing, and also all that history about the Habsburgs, because they were very much in competition with the Romans, and they wanted to make sure that they looked just as prestigious. So it was very important for them to build these beautiful palaces. And Schönbrunn Palace, which I don't have a picture on this presentation for lack of time, is a wonderful palace for you to go to in the afternoon. It's an optional tour that you can pay to go on with us, and it'll take you out to the outskirts of that palace, where you can see all the apartments and where Maria Theresa spent a lot of her time, all their children, and learn a lot about the Habsburgs, and it's very much worth it. Now, in addition, on the Danube, on this romantic Danube itinerary, you'll get the city of Regensburg, which will be your starting or ending point from your river cruise. And that is a medieval city that was untouched in World War II. So you're going to get so much insight to medieval architecture, a lot of what the Bambergs did, which ruled before the Habsburgs. So again, history, beautiful architecture. So the parliament, which we're looking at here in Budapest, is probably one of the most iconic buildings in the world. And I like to show this picture because I want you to see, if you decide to go on the Danube as your first river, or maybe it's your second or third, this parliament is a lot of what that architecture you'll be looking at on the Danube. So you'll see some of these magnificent, iconic buildings and palaces, and less, you still have those German villages, but you have the opportunity to see this. And I must mention that Prague, most people that go to Prague say that it is the most beautiful city they've ever been to. And these are people that have been all over the world, that have been to the Parises and so forth. And I thought it would be important to let you know that if you do decide to go on the Danube and go to Prague, I promise you, you'll be extremely happy. This is the castle district of the region and the city of Budapest. So this is what they call the Buda side, the Buda Castle district. They actually, Buda and the Pest side are divided by the Danube River. And this is kind of its medieval side, if you want to kind of claim it that way. And there's beautiful cathedral and a lot of history on the Buda side as well as on the Pest side. And you'll be able to go to both sides if you decide to do a river cruise. And last but not least, I wanted to show you a picture for a little taste of what Christmas looks like on these rivers. Basically, all of these cities have market squares, and this is where all the trading took place. And so all of these squares light up, they put beautiful market stalls everywhere, and they become just the most amazing depiction of Christmas. So if you can bear going in the winter, which is the same winter we have here, is the same winter they have there, I would tell you that Christmas markets, which take place pretty much during the entire month of December, are amazing, and they're a great way to see these beautiful cities. So if you decided you have that a little bit of revenge travel within yourself, and you wanted to go all the way from Amsterdam to Budapest. This is what the map would look like. You can see again there towards the upper left part of the map where you see Czech Republic, you can see Prague. That is what I was talking about in terms of how close Prague is to that Danube River. But you can see, you can do this for 15 days, which is called our Grand European Tour. We have free international air, and you can actually get both the Rhine, the Main, and the Danube River in one trip. I have to say, this is what we booked the most of this past weekend while we were at an expo, because people are ready. They want to cross off as many things that they had on their bucket list. They've made new destinations and put them on their bucket list. So we all have a little bit of revenge travel going on within us. And so please take note of this, and you can add that 3-night Prague extension. So it's a wonderful itinerary. I will tell you, you're not going to want to get off the ship. I also wanted to tell you a little bit about Paris in the heart of Normandy. This is round trip Paris. Gives you the opportunity to spend the entire day at the Normandy beaches. You will spend time at Omaha, Juno, and Gold Beach. And so you have that, plus you've got Paris. Plus, you've got other ports of call on the Seine River, one including where Claude Monet spent most of his life, in Giverny. You also can walk and experience Napoleon's summer residence and Richard the Lionheart's chalet. And if you want, you can go to Versailles as well. So this is a really neat itinerary. So if you've already done the Rhine or the Danube, or maybe you just really want to go to France and you want to see Paris, this is great. It really taps all those passion points, from food to art to history here. And the rivers are absolutely the same as we just looked at, very narrow rivers. And we have 4 new ships that dock right there in the heart of Paris. You can actually see the Eiffel Tower from where we dock. That's something that's very special about Viking, is we have prime docking locations, meaning we do have a lot of rights to some really terrific docking. So we have a way to, again, if you're conquering some of that revenge travel, to go to the south of France as well. So you can do your Paris in the heart of Normandy round trip, and then take a train ride down to Lyon and do the south of France, going from Lyon to Avignon and experiencing Provence, and maybe spending a little time in the south of France as a post or pre. So that's another just little fun trick I like to tell you about in how to maximize your time when you're on these rivers. We also go on the Nile. We have 2 new ships on the Nile. We have a ship on the Douro River in Portugal, going from Lisbon up to Porto round trip. We're on the Mekong with a brand new ship. So if you wanted to do that, you can. So of course, we are traveling pretty much all the rivers except for a few, and those would be Russia, the rivers of Russia and China. At this point, we were on them, but of course, we've taken a little bit of a pause on those. So this is what a Viking longship looks like. Again, 190 passengers on this. Not many places to explore. This is not your big ocean liner. No kids, country club casual. And you have your guest services atrium. This is where you'll be coming to board and disembark for your shore excursions. And then you have the restaurant where you'll be eating lunch, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Which is basically from 7 to 9, 12 to 2, and from 7 to 9 in the evening. And we always have a lovely signature dish on here of the region, so you can taste the region while you're on board, plus your favorite staples. We have regional wines, and remember, wine and beer are included. And then we also, which is really neat for Viking, we have the Aquavit Terrace. This is where you can do your outdoor dining if you want. So it's an alternative dining solution for you if you just don't want to be in the dining room where we serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner off the menu there. And then, of course, the heart of the destination is the lounge. This is where all the activities are happening, from port talks to language lessons to destination performances to making apple strudel to spending time with your new best friends to having your before and after dinner drinks, and of course, singing along with some of those show tunes. So that's really quite fun as well. So please do know this is where everything happens on board. This is where you'll be spending lots of time, and you'll see those little nice seating areas. They're very intimate. And we also have a small dance floor if you want to take in some dancing. We have a little library as well as a little area for you to take a reprieve. We have coffee and tea right from a coffee and tea machine that's on the other side of this. So you have that accessible 24 hours. If you wake up super early in the morning and want to have your coffee before the cruise up, you can do that. And the sun deck is where you'll take in all your river cruising, which is the scenery, and we always have that stretch of river cruising for you to experience that scenery during the daytime, and that always takes place at one point during your 8-day river cruise. So I hope I've shared with you a really good insight to river cruising on the European rivers, and I did want to take a quick moment and showcase to you the beautiful Viking, Mississippi. You can see she's 5 decks, she's quite large, and I will tell you she's incredibly modern. So a big difference between her and some of the other ships that are sailing the Mississippi River would be that she is more contemporary and more modern. And I have a little surprise for you that I'm going to show you in a moment. She does go to all of the ports along the Mississippi. She actually can start on America's Great River itinerary going all the way from St. Paul down to New Orleans. But traditionally, outside of that 15-day itinerary, we do offer the lower, upper itinerary. So you can either go St. Paul to St. Louis, or New Orleans to New Orleans, or New Orleans to Memphis. And one thing that I will tell you is that we are not in Minnesota in the winter. So when we're on the upper Mississippi, we are there in the summer. So that's a good way for you to decide when you're going and which part of the river you'll be traveling, because we would not be traveling on the Mississippi River in the winter on the upper part of the Mississippi, because it's likely partially frozen. So you have lots of opportunities to learn about, and the folks there at Cruise Planners can share everything with you. But we do have several different itineraries for you, whether it's the upper, the lower, or the entire America's Great River. The ship, I said earlier, is under 400 passengers, just under 400 passengers. She's absolutely stunning. I think this is a really good design, and some photos that we're going to be seeing here in a moment that will show you that Scandinavian style that Viking sails in. No frou-frou, no neon lights, no crystal chandeliers. Everything we do is in that Scandinavian design, very light spaces, floor to ceiling windows everywhere, the teak woods, and that's quite very much showcased here on the Viking, Mississippi. So this would be a big difference as to how we sail when you're on board in this more of a Scandinavian style, opposed to what feels like an old Victorian steamboat. So you'll see here the Explorer's Lounge, which can also be found on our ocean ships. How stunning that panoramic view is in these spaces on Viking. And of course, no little children running around, as I had mentioned. And all that stuff that we include on river and ocean is also included here. The one shore excursion for every port of call. This is not a hop on and hop off bus tour here in the US. This is you literally having that hand curated experience for you, so that when you're on shore, you are experiencing America, Vicksburg, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Southern charms, Victorian houses, Annabella homes, the steamboat era, all of that feeling is going to come to life. Even on board, we'll have all jazz and blues and all the history, and everything will be taking place on board, but you will be sailing without a paddle wheeler, folks, because instead of a paddle wheeler, we decided to put an infinity plunge pool. So if that doesn't explain to you the difference, then I'm not sure what will, but that really truly is how we sail the Mississippi River and how we're sailing it different. We're now going to talk a little bit about ocean. I know we have a lot of ocean cruisers on the line here, and I think it's important to really showcase the world of Viking Ocean. Now, remember, I'm going to actually go back to this picture because I want you to see the ship when I say this. But what I like to say when I describe Viking Ocean is it's not too big, it's not too small, it's just right. So you can see 930 passengers, no kids, no casinos, no big Broadway shows. What you're experiencing here is small ship cruising and the ability to go into the heart of these destinations. So an example of that would be, say, in Scandinavia, if you were going to Stockholm, our port is right there in the heart of old Stockholm, old city Stockholm, whereas other ships that are larger have to go to the cruise terminal. So that's kind of what you're getting when you have a smaller ship. All of our ships are new, they're beautiful, they all look the same, so you only have to really understand one deck plan. And we can take you in Northern Europe doing ports like Viking homelands, taking you from Norway through the fjords to the Baltic. We can take you around the British Isles. We can take you to Iceland. We can take you from Norway to Iceland. And my new bucket list destination is seeing the Northern Lights and going into the midnight sun or in search of the Northern Lights from Norway all the way up the Norwegian Sea to the Arctic Circle. So that's some things that I just wanted to highlight for you here as far as ports. Another few itineraries that I wanted to highlight would be the Med. We have this fabulous Mediterranean Odyssey. It's actually 13 days, not 15, where you can go all the way from Barcelona, do what is we call a traditional Western Med itinerary, going Barcelona, but you're not stopping in Rome. You're going all the way around the Italian boot. You're experiencing Greece. You're going to Croatia, and then you're landing in Venice. I love this itinerary. It gives you so much more bang for your buck. And who wants to go just for 8 days when you're going to Europe, right? We also have cities of antiquities going from Rome and experiencing also the Holy Land. We could do Empires of the Med, which is really neat. If you've wanted to go to Croatia, we can start in Venice, take you through Croatia and the Adriatic Sea, and then experience Greece, which is a really neat thing to do. We have opportunity for you to go to Turkey if you wanted to go to Ephesus, which should be on your bucket list. You'll have the opportunity to experience the Greek Isles and Turkey. So we are in the Med all year round. One thing that's neat about Viking is you can actually go to the Med off season. So if you don't mind, I don't personally like sailing in the heat. I have no problem sailing in the Med off season. So I wanted to bring that to your attention as well. We also do the Caribbean and South America. We can take you to the Chilean fjords, to the Amazon, through the Panama Canal and Central America. Of course, traditional Caribbean itineraries, if that's what you're looking for, we have that. We have Australia, Southeast Asia. We can take you all the way from Vancouver to Japan, if you'd like, through the North Pacific Passage. So another thing trending right now are long cruises. So anything that's well over 15 days, you can create these experiences doing back-to-back cruises, which cruise planners can show you how to do that. Or you can go with some of ours that we've already prearranged, because again, with the loss of time of travel and us really wanting to beat the clock here, I would say that doing some of those longer itineraries really do make sense. The 8-day cruises to me don't make sense anymore. Add on those extensions on land, or take the longer sailings if you really truly just want to pack and unpack once and enjoy the Viking experience, which truly is like coming home to your own living room, but with luxury that's very understated, and traveling the world in comfort. So this is our Goldilocks. She again is 930 passengers. So she has everything: restaurants, movie theaters, beauty salons. She has gyms. She does have entertainment. We have Beatles bands, movies under the stars, TED Talks. So you'll learn a little bit about that. So we do have it, but just look how stunning she is. You can see this is not the glitz and the glitter that we're going for. This is very understated luxury. The ship is filled with art. You actually can download an app and take an art tour of one-of-the-kind art throughout the entire vessel. and lots of little nooks and crannies for you to enjoy. If you also want to get the Silver Spirits beverage package on any of our sailings, river, ocean, expedition, Mississippi, you can do that. And that'll give you around the clock gin and tonics, vodka sodas, whatever your favorite drink is. So you do have that opportunity. It's really quite economical to do that. But again, the beer and the wine are included at lunch and dinner. But you can see how beautiful the living room is, like coming home to your own living room, the Explorer's Lounge, the windows everywhere, the destination always at the focal point, our winter garden on our ocean ships, where you can be served high tea, over 300 different types of tea you'll never find anywhere else. The retractable roof swimming pool, so if you are in the colder months, you can still swim in the heated swimming pool. The beautiful spa that we have, which is a Norwegian spa, a Nordic spa. We have the opportunity to change your temperature of your water, your closing and opening your pores, and you can even go into our snow grotto and let it snow on if you want. On Ocean, we have several dining opportunities for you. They're all included. Our Italian restaurant, our chef table, which is wine pairing in small plates, the restaurant, which is our standard restaurant. You, of course, have the winter garden. You have Mamson's Deli. You have 24-hour room service, and you have the Aquavit. You have our, what you would call a buffet, but it really truly isn't feeling like a buffet. The World Cafe, which has been labeled one of the best world cafes, cafe if you will, buffet if you will, on an ocean cruise ship, with king crab legs and just absolutely delicious food. And your entertainment, lectures from historians that live on board, TED Talks. Again, that destination, learning about the history, learning about really interesting subject matter is really what it's all about. We bring local entertainment on board. There's classical music floating throughout the city, the ship, and it is just, again, incredibly luxurious. So I wanted to end our presentation before we take questions on Viking Expeditions. Now, Expeditions is a very special product and ship that we've brought into Antarctica. And again, repositions to the Great Lakes. You can see she looks very different from the other ships that we've seen so far. And she's under 400 passengers. And what I wanted to share with you is how beautiful she is. And taking a ship like this throughout the Great Lakes, to me, is mind-blowing, because typically in the Great Lakes, you wouldn't see a lot of gorgeous product like this. So I want you to see how gorgeous she is. You can take several different itineraries if you want in the Great Lakes, where you're going from Toronto to Milwaukee, going to Mackinac Island, going to Michigan, Point Pelee, Canada. You're going to actually go through the Welland Canal, Georgian Bay, Mackinac Island, Thunder Bay, Duluth. You could do back to back, so you can get all of the Great Lakes. You can spend 15 days if you want on the Great Lakes. So lots of opportunities here for you on the Great Lakes, as well as if you want to go to Antarctica, where we do 13 days. You'll go from Buenos Aires to Ushuaia, and you'll spend most of your time in Antarctica. But you do have to sail the Drake Passage here to get to Antarctica, and it can be a little rough, although we do believe we have some of the best technology to get you through the Drake Passage. But really, what is awesome about Viking Expeditions are the partnerships that we have. We have partnerships with Scott Polar Research Institute, the Cornell Lab of Ornithology. You have National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. You will be launching weather balloons. You will be smashing penguin poop during field studies if you want. You will be looking at microplastics and learning about the impact microplastics have on the world if you decide you want to take part in some of this scientific research that's being done. You can learn all about the birds, the penguins. Even in the Great Lakes, you'll be experiencing so much science that's taking place up there in that region as well. So it's quite of neat if you have an interest in science. Simply, you can stay on board the ship, never get off it, and also have an amazing experience on the Octantis and the Polaris, our expedition ships. You have spaces like this one that I'm about to show you, where you'll be watching your HD videos and films about landings that you'll be doing and the history of this region. And then the screen goes on the ceiling and it opens up to spaces like this with this most amazing panoramic viewing. And I have to say, when you're in these regions that are filled with nature and regions that are quite remote or not often really thought of as a place to go, such as like the Great Lakes, you can imagine how beautiful that scenery looks from spaces like this on board the ship. So you can see we've done a terrific job again putting that Scandinavian style into our expedition ships with windows everywhere, so you don't miss a beat of the destination. But the ship itself, I have to tell you, I cried when I was on board because the artwork is absolutely stunning. It's so intimate. Even Viking's Ocean still feels intimate, even though it's 930 passengers. And I think that really is the difference when you're on Viking, is that feeling of intimacy on board. And it just does not feel like you're on a big, massive ocean liner. So we do have our Aquavit Terrace with our retractable roof swimming pool, 3 different pools outside as well. And again, you can, I think the pictures say it all with how pretty this ship is. There is a spa on board as well. And of course, all of the expedition equipment that you can take part of using depending where you are, from kayaks to zodiacs to submarines, and then our special operation boats, which actually come up into the ship. So you can actually board them like you would be boarding a roller coaster, and they then slide out of the ship. So look how amazing that is, to be able to board your special operations boat and so easily, and then slide out the ship and then navigate the waters on this amazing 12-passenger miniature boat that goes quite fast, to be able to give you a little bit more comfort while you're in this region. And again, that's really what we're all about, is that comfort. So the staterooms are stunning. On board Viking, we have no staterooms that are inside. So please know that that's also another opportunity to sail with Viking and to not have to worry about inside staterooms. So what I'm going to do, folks, is I'm going to stop sharing. I want to just let you know once again that we have that promotion for the $25 deposit. That's on River Ocean Mississippi Expedition, and it goes for any sailing all the way up until 2025. So I will tell you, we have so many opportunities out there for you, but they are going fast. Viking does sell out quite fast. So you want to make sure you're taking advantage of that. Secondly, don't forget, on the Rhine and the Danube, we have the free international airfare that is ending at the end of this month. I cannot tell you if that's coming back. I don't think it is, because I'm pretty sure we're going to be probably almost sold out for 2023. So if you wanted to get that last stateroom and take advantage of that free air, now's a great time to do it. And that low pricing for $23.99 in the shoulder season, that's the lead-in rate. You can't beat that. And then lastly, because you've attended this presentation and you were so kind to listen to it, we are going to chip in Viking with $100 per person shipboard credit. So it's $200 if you were to actually put a deposit down on something over the next 14 days. So that will be starting tomorrow, and we have 14 days from then to make some deposits, and then we will automatically put a $200 shipboard credit on that you can use towards gratuities, towards that Silver Spirits beverage package if you really love your gin and tonics, and then also towards the optional shore excursions. So lots of opportunities here for y'all for attending. So with that, Liz, hi. I hope I wasn't just one talking head over here. And Clark, you and Liz and Tom, you all enjoyed the presentation and think it was informative. I would love to take some questions. I'm going to put my glasses on. If anybody wants to ask a question, or if Liz and Clark, you want to chime in on some of your own personal experiences on Viking. So we do already have a question. We don't have any free air promos for 2024 that I'm aware of. Most all of the free air promos are happening for 2023. But if you want, Tom and everybody, I'm happy to let you and Liz and Clark know of even some of these closed promotions that we're having. Just reach out to me. Anybody who's attended the presentation, they have a certain itinerary that they're interested in, I could certainly let you know if there's anything. I will scour our system to see if there's any special promotions going on that I can offer your customers. I'd be happy to do that. So what about any other questions that you'd like to ask? I didn't cover everything because it's nearly impossible to do so.
I do occasionally get clients who question accessibility and which would be good choices for them. And maybe you can touch on that.
I would love to touch on that. So our ocean ships and our Mississippi ship and expedition do have accessibility. So we do have the ADA accessible cabins, and also, Mississippi's a great port because they will have ADA accessibility while in port. Great Lakes as well, and certainly some of the ocean ports. But I always like to say, and I think you probably could agree with me, that when you're especially in the river ports in Europe, very challenging because you've got the gangplank, the ramp that's taking you up from the river to the land, that can be challenging. And then moreover, in port, those smaller villages and towns don't have a lot of ADA accessibility. So I would say wheelchairs, very tough. Canes you can get by, walking sticks you can get by with, but you have to be really careful because of those cobblestone streets that are everywhere, so everything's uneven. So I would say safest bet would be Mississippi, maybe the Great Lakes, and then of course the ocean product.
Okay, that was my impression as well. I've been on the Rhine and it felt like that wouldn't be the right choice for anybody I knew that was in a wheelchair. So
yes,
I did the Rhine and I loved it. And the one thing I did was it was a cab tour that helped a lot because I had a problem with my back at the time. But I did a private cab tour of Strasbourg, and it was amazing.
Perfect. So there are alternatives. And then I guess you can also, like for us, actually, while we're talking about accessibility too, thank you. I didn't bring this up, but I had mentioned that we travel what we call the Viking Way. And part of that Viking Way is having different levels of activity for our port excursions. So our shore excursions, you can choose, for instance, to take the walking tour into Vienna, or you can take the tour by motor coach, that the motor coach will take you right to pretty much the market where the cathedral is, the square. And so you do have that option for choosing the less rigorous ones. Or if you're like, I want to go e-biking, or I want to hike the Pass Hill Hills, and I want to do all that other stuff, you can do that too. And every ship has on river a program director who I'm sure you both can attest to, is fantastic. And you can go to the program director and they'll tell you pretty much what they've done it all, and they'll tell you what you can do, what you can't do. And if, for instance, you signed up for something and they know that it's maybe a steep incline to get up to the castle, they'll let you know, you may want to reconsider. So that also is a luxury. And the intimacy of these ports, like if you go out into port, if you really want to explore Europe but you still have that little bit of fear, like I don't want to get lost and all that stuff. One of the neat things about a river ship is you can literally call the ship and somebody will come off the ship and come get you if you got lost, if you decided to explore on your own, or you can come with us on all the tours and you don't have to worry about anything because you're always with the tour guide. And we have a little earpiece that you put in your ear and a receiver. So even like if you have that fear of like maybe you're a little hard of hearing, you don't have to worry about that either, because you just put your little earpiece and your receiver and you can hear the tour guide. You don't have to be on the heels of the tour guide and rush rushing to keep up, you can go at a little bit of a slower pace. And I love that because I just like to stop and take pictures, and I'm that annoying person who holds everybody up on a tour. But the earpiece helps, and the hearing the commentary in your ear, and again, not feeling like you have to keep such a fast pace. So any other questions? Let's see, what time of the year do you go to the Antarctica? That's to Antarctica. So great question. So basically in the Q1, so January through March essentially, and then in the fall is when we would go. And then when we're not in Antarctica, so the fall going into the winter, and when we're not there, we're in the Great Lakes, both ships. So that would basically be the spring and the summer. And
What
I
about,
just
about the Nile? What time of the year do you go Nile? Or is that year round?
it's a great question. I think it's we offer a lot of availability for the Nile, so I don't know if that's per se seasonal. There may be a couple months that we don't go on the Nile. But thank you for asking that, Clark, because you just stumped me, because now I'm trying to think if it's just a couple of, I know it's not a couple of months, but I do know that the Nile sells out incredibly fast. So if that is on your bucket list, you want to make sure you're booking 2025. We just launched 2025. And at that show, so many people were coming up to me telling me about that as well. So that they just booked the Nile. The Grand European Tour is incredibly popular, going all the way from Amsterdam down to Budapest or the other direction, getting both rivers. So that's really popular. The Seine is incredibly popular, and we're experiencing the 80th anniversary in 2024 of D-Day. So that'll be popular too. Yeah, and we just opened up 2025 Ocean. So there's lots of opportunities for everyone.
Is the Nile ship the same size as the European river ships?
Smaller.
It is smaller.
Yep, and the Mekong too. So you'll see they look quite different, as
Right.
The Seine ships are about 160 passengers, and they actually look very similar to the long ship, but just smaller, like a little mini version. Yeah, but the Nile ship, the Mekong, even the Douro, they look much different. Not much, but I think some of them even have a pool. So look for the pool in case you want to bring a bathing suit. Deposit for 2024. Yes. So yes, the deposit to hold the Nile in 2025, to hold Mississippi in 2024, to hold any ocean cruise, any river cruise right now, $25. So that's $50 of a risk to you if you wanted to cancel 121 days out. Now, insurance is always non-refundable, so you have to remember you've got the caveat of insurance too, and we really want you to go. But so that would be non-refundable as well if you decide to do the insurance through Viking with like pre-existing conditions. But I'm sure Liz and Clark and Tom have other options for you. So, and Marcia and everybody of you all, whoever's on the line with us, there's plenty of options out there for you. So $25, and you can put your name on your itinerary that you want, and the sailing you want, and the stateroom. If you do not want to be in a porthole stateroom on a river ship, you definitely want to hold that, because what's going first are the verandas, then the French balconies, and of course the suites always go first. And typically Viking would sell a year out for river and then sell out a year and a half for ocean. And we are seeing that we're going to catch up to being as booked as we were pre-pandemic. So definitely think about holding your space now and getting all those details. Anything else?
I'd just like to thank you, Shannon, for taking the time to be here with us tonight, and thank everybody that came on to be with us. And I just want to mention to folks in the New Jersey area that we're going to be doing 2 live cruise nights later in the summer and in the fall, and Shannon is going to join us live for those. And we'll be giving out more information on where they're going to be at and sending some invitations out for that.
Yes. And I'm excited to host you all and to be a part of those cruise nights with y'all, because I love being in person, and this really comes to life in person. And of course, you all can get brochures too. And if you want, we have this really beautiful World of Viking catalog right now, and I'm more than happy to ship them out if you want to see that catalog, which is really quite pretty. It's very different from what you're getting in your mailboxes already. So all right, well, great. Well, thank you for having me. I've taken my time. I've already 11 minutes over. So I'm going to let you all go to bed now, because that's where I'm headed.
Thank
Thanks
you
a
so
lot,
much, Shannon.
All right, take care, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, for attending.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.